Hi guys, spring has finally sprung here at the Gray Boxwood farm, and it is my favorite time of year because I'm finally able to start planning the garden. I call this garden the kitchen vegetable garden because it's all the items that I use throughout the season to make all my wonderful dishes and a few items I use to can. I have a larger garden that produces most of my canned items, but all these items I'm bringing you are the ones that are so great, fresh to eat, straight from the garden. This season, I'm going to lead you along the steps that I'm using to prepare my garden. If you're new to gardening, you can start small with some of my simple tips, or if you're an avid gardener, you can follow along and see what works for me and what doesn't, and we can learn from each other. There's always new tips, new ideas, so I can't wait to hear what works for you, and you can see what I'm doing as well. In the Midwest, when early to mid-April hits, and the temperature outside is finally reaching the upper 50s to the lower 60s, we're able to start working in our gardens. And it is so exciting for me because you're finally able to get out of that house, out of all the snow, and work some of the ground. The first step in any garden is to till the earth. If you already have a garden started, this shouldn't be too hard to process. You should be able just to go out with a rototiller or hand tiller and work the ground again. It's important after a long, cold winter to make sure you work your soil as things go dormant and you want the microorganisms and living things within the dirt to be redistributed. If you're starting a new garden and you have to dig up grass to do it, this could be a lot more work, and you'll first have to shovel a lot of clods away of the ground and then do quite a bit of tilling to make sure it smooths out. Or if you're in town or want to have a small garden, use some great large pots on your back patio or deck. This is extremely simple, and you can just fill them with potting soil and put the seeds I talk about in there. For a quick tip to make sure you have straight rows, which maybe you don't care as much about as I do, but my mom has taught me to be a fiend for straight rows. She's obsessed, so now I am too. She taught me to use a long outdoor measuring tape, and this allows you to string it along your row and make sure the row is straight. Also, a measuring tape allows you to see how many seeds you're doing per inch or few inches, or how far apart to set onions if need be. It's a great tool to have, and having straight rows just makes me feel better. The first things you can do usually in this time of year is some great early seeds. I always start with radishes and lettuce and spinach and kale. You can do anything you like. Go to your local garden center and see the seeds that they have in stock. They'll of course be stocking the seeds that work best for your area. Each area of the country has different planting times and different seeds that do well. If you want to start small, radish is such an easy one to grow. Actually, most seeds usually are. But if you're not used to gardening, make sure to plant small amounts. Because if you're not as used to it as I am, you'll end up with so much produce you won't know what to do. So keep it small so you just have enough to eat if that's where you want to go. Make sure to read the back of the package of your seeds. It tells you the planting depth and how many seeds to sow. Sometimes the instructions can sound a little complicated, but don't worry. Carrot seeds are so small that it's really hard to place each one individually. So as you can see, I sprinkle them throughout, and then once they grow up, it's a lot easier to just thin them out as needed. The same goes for radishes. The packages will tell you to space the seeds evenly. That's almost an impossible task. Once they grow, if they're too close together, just pluck a few out and they'll grow a lot easier. This is much more simple than trying to do seed by seed. Remember when doing seeds, seeds are extremely delicate and small, so you want the ground that you put on top of them to be the same fine texture. You don't want to put large clumps of dirt, but sprinkle on the light, fluffy dirt that you've tilled really evenly into small little pieces. Seeds can't break through if it's too large of pieces, so pat it down lightly and use small amounts. I lay my garden out in long plots so I don't always have to be walking over all the ground. Anything will of course work, and whatever design you choose will be great. Just make sure that you label each row of seeds, because before they come up, you may forget where you put your seeds or what row is what, or as they're growing, you may not even remember. I like to use just simple little plastic markers and a Sharpie pen and just write on them what they are. Seeds are such a simple way to start. You can't go wrong with a few seeds. Just make sure to follow the instructions, till your ground, water them, and you will have some great produce in a few weeks.